What do you think makes the owl
What
such a good
makes a
nocturnal
good
hunter?
nocturnal hunter?
Well,
Well,
visualize it in the
visualize
woods at
in the
night.
woods at
The
night.
first thing you
The
notice
first
about it
thing
is
you
its
know
large
about
round
it
eyes.
is its large
Those
round
eyes
eyes.
are
Those eyes are
also
also
constantly vigilant
constantly
from its perch on
vigilant
a
from
tree.
its perch
The
from a
secret of
tree.
the owl's
The secret
ability
of
to
owl's
hunt
ability to
lies
hunt
in its
lies
good
in
night
its
vision,
good night vision,
which, in turn,
which in
lies
turn
in the
lies in the
size and
size and
construction of its
construction of
eyes.
its eyes.
In fact,
In
its
fact, its
superb nocturnal
superb
vision
nocturnal vision
involves two
involves
quite
two
separate
quite separate
capabilities: the
capabilities.
ability to
The
discriminate fine
ability to
details of the objects
discriminate
within the visual field,
period of
and the
view,
ability to
and the
perceive
ability to
small
perceive small
quantities of light.
quantity of light.
Therefore, the
Therefore,
owl's
the
eyes
owl's
are not
eyes are
simply
not
giant
simply giant
versions of those of
versions
its
of
day living
those of
cousins,
its day
as you
living
might
cousins,
suppose.
as you might suppose.
During the daytime,
During the
there is plenty
daytime,
of
there is
light,
a plenty
and so
of
the
light,
eyes of
and so
diurnal
the
animals like gray
like gray
squirrels,
squirrels,
marmots,
marmots,
most birds, and
most
humans
birds, and
have
humans
relatively
have
small
relatively small
windows,
window,
the cornea.
the cornea.
Now, the
No,
amount
the
of
amount
detail
of detail
capable of
capable of
resolution by the
resolution
eye
by the eye
will obviously
will
increase with the
obviously
size of the
increase with
image.
the size of
In
the
diurnal
image.
species
In
of
diurnal
animals,
species
the
of
eye's
animals, the
lens
eye
tend to be
lens tend
flat,
to be
with a
flat,
long focal
with a
length,
longer focal
which means
length,
that a
which
comparatively
you
large
can
image is brought to
comparatively
a
in the
focus on the
focus on
retina
the
way
retina
back
way
from the
back from the
lens.
lens.
However, the
However,
larger
the
an
larger
image
an
gets,
image
the
gets,
dimmer
the
it becomes
dimmer
too.
it
But
becomes too,
because of the
but
high intensity of light
high
that enters through
intensity
the
light
pupil,
enters through
the
the pupil,
consequent
the
loss of
constant
brightness
loss
of the
of
large
brightness of
image
the
doesn't
large image
matter.
doesn't matter.
What this means
What
is
this
it will
means is
still
that
be
it
bright
will
enough to
still
register
be
on the retina.
enough to register
In
on the retina.
contrast,
In
one of the
contrast,
first
one of
essentials
the
for an
first
eye that has
essentials
to
for the
operate
eye
by
that's
night is
operated
that
by
it
night
must
is
be
that
able to
it must
collect
be
and
to collect
concentrate
and
as much light
concentrate
as
as much
possible.
light as possible.
The eyes of owls are
The
large,
eyes of
but size alone is not
but
enough.
size is not enough.
Obviously, the
Obviously, the
design must
design
differ
must
from those
differ
of
from
diurnal
those of
animals.
diurnal
One of
animals.
the most
One of
striking
the most
features of an
striking
owl's
features of
eye
an owl's
is the
eye is
relative size of
the
the
relative
window.
size of the
In
window.
photographer's
In
jargon,
photographers'
nocturnal eyes
jargon,
are fast. That is to say,
that is
size
a
for
size
size,
for
they are
size. They are
capable of letting
capable
in
of
far more
letting in
light
far
than
more light
diurnal
than
ones.
diurnal
In
ones.
practical terms,
In
a
practical
fast
terms, a
lens is
fast
wider than a
lens
slow
is
one.
wider than a slow
When there
one.
is not enough
When
light
there
for the
is not
slow
enough
lens to
light for
operate,
the
the
sort to
fast
operate,
one
the
can still
first one
collect
can
enough
still
to throw a
collect enough
bright
to throw a
image onto
bright
the
ray
film.
onto the film.
The same
And
analogy
the
can
same
be drawn
array can
between
be
the eyes
drawn
of
between
owls
the
and
eyes of
daybirds.
owls and
Now,
daybirds.
let's take a
Now
look at
let's take a
Figure
look
1
at
and
figure
compare
one
the
and
vertical
compare the
sections of the
vertical
eye of a
section of
diurnal
the
species of
eyes
bird and of an owl's
over an
eye.
owl's eye.
Since an owl's eye has
Since
a
an owl's
large
eye has a
cornea,
large
the
cornea,
system
the
would tend to
system
throw a
would
large
tend to
image a
throw
long
a
way
large
back, just like in a
just like
daytime hunter's eye, with a comparable loss of brightness. At the
brightness.
same time,
At
however,
the same time,
rounder and
however,
more
rounder
powerful
and more
lenses
powerful
bring the
lenses
much
bring
brighter
the
image
much
back
brighter
closer
image
to
back
the lens.
closer to the
In a
lens.
word,
In
their
a
eyes
word,
give
their
owls high
eyes give the
resolution,
high
with which
resolution
they can
with
see
which they
details of
can
things even in the dark.
even in the dark.
The optics of
The
their system,
optical of this
together with
system,
the fact
together
that
with
they
the
have
fact
highly
that they
sensitive
have
retinas,
highly sensitive
makes
retinas,
owls
they
very
make
well
them
equipped
very
to probe the
equipped
darkest
to
nooks by night.
probe the darkness
Well,
nook
this
at
is
night.
why we can only stumble and grope in the dark, while owls are capable of an extraordinary feat of weaving in and out of the trees at night with no trouble at all. There is another conspicuous difference between our eyes and owls. Unlike the eyes of mammals, the eyes of these birds are reinforced by bony structures that bind the cornea in the tough outer layer of the eyeball, and these are fused to the skull. That's why owls cannot move their eyes inside the eye sockets, and we can. They cannot roll or move their eyes. That is, they can only look straight ahead, but their head can turn a considerable angle to accomplish the same purpose. Because the owl's eyes are separated by a significant distance, they also have good stereo vision and depth perception. One last thing is, it's a popular misconception that owls are blind by day. After all, some species hunt by day, and the clincher is, eagle owls have been found to possess vision more acute than ours by day. Nevertheless, the relatively enormous tubular eyes of these birds are highly sensitive pieces of equipment tuned for night life, so they must be protected against the glare of daylight. Now, in this function, their muscular irises play an important role.